All right, we've got a 2005 Toyota Corolla, and the owner just texted me and said that it's starting to shake really bad, and he says that the check engine light also came on. So there's a couple things I'm going to do, but first thing, because we have a check engine light, let's go ahead and plug in the Innova 5610 and see what it says. Hey, what's up YouTube? Dan the Fix-It Man. Got another quick video here for you. This is a 2005 Toyota Corolla with the 1ZZ FE engine that is really running rough. It's shaking really bad. He said that the check engine light came on and it would shake a lot when he would brake, but if he would accelerate that, the light would turn off. Now, I recently did some work on this vehicle. I changed out the driver's side CV axle and also did the front brakes. And of course, in most cases, that would have nothing to do with how the engine is running. But when it was here, I did check the oil. I always do. It's kind of a habit that I have. And when I pulled that out, I did it in front of the owner and I said, look, you're about 1.5 quarts low. And I didn't have oil for this particular engine. He said, it's all right. I've got some. I'm just down the street. He took it home and I just assumed that he added oil and there was no other issues. But when he was texting me and saying that when he would brake, the check engine light would turn on, I thought, well, that might have something to do with the oil pressure sensor. Maybe it's sensing oil only when the oil is kind of shifting in the pan or shifting over to that sensor. So I asked him, of course, did you add the oil? And he said, yes, I did. And I also changed the air filter. So that kind of got me thinking as well, you know, as far as changing the air filter, what might have caused a misfire. You know, we do have our mass airflow sensor right here on top of the air filter. It's possible that maybe some dirt or debris got on there. So that's something that we'll probably take a look at. But I did already check the oil and he did indeed top it off. So I'm pretty sure that this is not an oil pressure issue. Let's go ahead and plug in the Innova 5610 scan tool, and that'll at least point us in the right direction so we can hopefully get this figured out. Okay, so it says P0301, cylinder 1 misfire stored, and another cylinder 1 misfire detected and pending. Now, because this is specific to one cylinder, what I'm going to do is take off that top engine cover, take a look at that spark plug and see what it looks like, and or if we need to, we'll take a look at that coil pack as well, and we can always swap those between cylinders to see if the code follows that cylinder. All right, looks like the one on this side is already missing, but let's take off this 10 millimeter here, and we've got one here. But it looks like we're also missing the one in the back over here. All right, looks like that one wants to stay on the cover, and that's okay. These clips sometimes get really brittle, so I'm just gonna use a little mini pry bar here to help lift up on that. I'm gonna take out this coil, just another 10 millimeter here. Now we've got a lot of oil in here. So we probably have an issue with our spark plug tube seals. Let's go ahead and pull out the spark plug real quick. Well, there's your problem, completely soaked in oil. So most likely this is going to be our issue. Not sure if you can see all of this, but I can see oil coming in from the joint where the spark plug tube seal should be sealing it. Now, it wasn't necessarily oil getting into the cylinder. You can see that it's still kind of a faint light brown there, but we're not going to be able to send the power through the spark plug if this is just soaking in oil. Now, that's pretty easy to fix. I'm just going to pop off the rest of these coil packs here, take off our valve cover, and then replace that valve cover gasket and the spark plug tube seals, and then put everything back together. We'll see if he wants to get new plugs. That should get us back on the road and get rid of that misfire. Okay, well, I just talked to the owner. He gave the go-ahead to replace the valve cover gasket and tube seals, and he also said, yeah, let's throw in some new spark plugs as well. Let's get right into it. You see, this is the Coke end nut grip. I like that because it holds on to the bolt or the nut until you're ready to take it out, so you're less likely to drop any fastener. Now, this harness here is kind of holding the coils in place, so let's take this off as well. All right, let's pull this harness up and out of the way, and we'll take off this line here for the PCV valve to get around that harness, and we should be able to lift this out. But that's enough for us to pull out the coil packs. You can see we've got oil in number 2 and number 3 as well, but 4 was the only one that was dry. So chances are we were gonna get misfires in these cylinders as well. You know, and that really brings me over here to this PCV valve. Chances are this is plugged up, and so I'm gonna get a new PCV valve as well. Let's see if I can pull off this PCV hose that's stuck on here. When these get old, they're really hard to take apart. These hose grip pliers work pretty well. At least we broke it loose. But we broke it. See, that hose is just way too old. so that was not gonna easily come off. Walked right into that trap. Okay, well, we'll get a new hose, but let's pull this PCV valve out of here with a 22mm semi-deep socket. Well, it looks pretty gunked up, but the real test is blowing on that. It's just kind of dirty, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Let me just wipe that off a little bit. It's not totally plugged. I can blow through it, but just as a preventative measure, I'm gonna go ahead and put in a new PCV valve as well. This wasn't completely plugged, but I can feel a little bit of resistance. I'll just compare it to the new one and then throw that in. And of course, we'll pick up a new hose as well to get that button back together. But now that we have the PCV line out of the way, we can shift this harness back. Should be able to. Oh, we're kind of clipped on over here. This looks aftermarket, but I think somebody added a clip. Let's take a look. There we go. Now we should have plenty of room to pull this off. One more hose here. Let's pop this one off as well. Chances are that one will also break. There we go. All right, now let's take off the valve cover nuts and bolts. This is just another mount that looks like it's broken off. I think there's another little plastic tab that goes on that, but we'll just start over here. Same thing, this is a little clip for the harness, but it wasn't being used. That's probably why somebody added this little plastic clip here. Okay, I think that's everything. Let's see if we can pop this off. There we go. All right. You can see right here the little dab of Permatex doing its job, or the Toyota formed in place gasket material, and same with this little back joint here. It's basically anywhere where there's a joint in the casting, you need to put a little blob of that Permatex, but this valve cover gasket will probably just come right off. Yep, just that little bit of Permatex is holding it. And this is the one that has the integrated spark plug tube seals. It's basically a part of the gasket. Get rid of all this old Permatex material. Get rid of that. Just kind of try to scrape that or peel that off. Now, while I work on this and cleaning up these surfaces, I'm going to take some nice clean rags here and cover and protect our valve train, just to prevent any grit or dirt from landing on the camshafts or anything like that. I don't do this all the time, but probably should. Now, I just don't like the idea of spraying brake cleaner directly into the engine, so I'm just going to spray it on this paper towel or rag and just try to clean up this mating surface, make sure that everything is clean and dry before we put the new gasket on. I didn't notice this little connector right here needs to also go up and over that bolt, so we'll remember that when we put this back together. Let's just keep cleaning this up. See, I'm just peeling this back a little bit so that I can clean the mating surface of these spark plug tube seals as well, to make sure that we make a good, nice seal. Now, I still have all of the spark plugs in except for cylinder 1, so I'm going to be extra careful here, make sure we don't drop anything down in the cylinder. All right, so here's the new gasket. We picked up this one from O'Reilly. This is the Fel-pro VS50542. Now I'm just gonna get all of this cleaned up with some brake cleaner right in this groove all the way around, including these little grooves on each one of these spark plug tubes. All right, so here's our new gasket. Just kind of line up those little tubes like that, and then just go around the perimeter and press that in place. And this does feel like it's staying in there. So I think even when we turn this upside down to put it on, it's not gonna fall out. Give it a quick test here. Let's flip it over. Looks like it's gonna stay in there. Now, if this does fall out when you flip it over, you can put a little bit of this underneath the channel. It just kind of makes a bigger job the next time this has to happen, because then they'll have to clean that up. But this one looks like it's going to stay even when I flipped it over. It's not falling out. This is ready to go back on. Let's go put a little bit of the silicone on those two joints on the engine. That's all it takes. Let's pull these protective rags off of here. Just be careful here that we don't knock that loose. We just got to make sure that that fully seats. Okay, I think we got it. Now, if you're not sure if that gasket fell out, what you want to do is just kind of take a look down here and make sure that you can see the orange gasket seated properly. On the back, you can just grab a little mirror and make sure that everything looks good and it didn't accidentally fall out. Now, our kit also came with these little replacement washers on the longer bolts that go in the middle. Looks like they have a little ridge right there, and that goes facing the valve cover. And we'll start with these. Looks like it's stuck on there, so we'll just pop that off. Just get all these started by hand first. This, remember, had this little thing that folded over. Just this little mount. And same with this front one here. Now remember when I was taking off this cover and I said, oh, that one's staying on. I didn't even turn it over, but that's where this bolt went. That's the one I'm gonna put here, so I need to pull this one back out and pop it in over here on the end, and that'll be our last one. I thought for some reason I had lost one of these bolts. There we go. Now I just confirmed that the torque spec on these is 8 foot-pounds. Just make sure you don't overdo these. You can use a torque wrench if needed, but 8 foot-pounds, it's just not very much. And so make sure you don't overdo these. You can easily break them off, or you can over squish that gasket. Just kind of going around a few times until I feel like that's close to 8 foot-pounds. That should do it. All right, now we're gonna put our spark plugs in. These are the ones we picked up from O'Reilly, the Iridium Long Life. These are Denso brand, part number SK16R11 number 4 or 3324 number 4. So let's just pop these in one at a time. Now these are already all pre-gapped, but you can double check them if you'd like. Just got to be really careful of that iridium point there. You don't want to damage that. So I'm just going to use the same spark plug socket here and just line that up carefully without dropping it. And you always want to make sure you start spark plugs by hand. Take a look at that. Well, again, we had the same issue with oil getting into that spark plug tube, but even through the oil that just kind of fell onto it, now you can tell that that's definitely time to change. Now, these don't call for anti-seize. Anytime that you see a really shiny silver color on the spark plug, you don't usually want to add anti-seize. But if it's like a black or a dark metal, then that usually does need anti-seize. There's another oil-soaked spark plug tube. Now, because of all this oil in the spark plug tube, this is gonna smoke a little bit when we initially start it up, but that's all right. Yeah, I just don't love the way that feels, but oh boy. Now, when they're sticky like this, it's kind of not a bad idea to go back the other way a little bit. Just kind of ease it out. Kind of holding the ratchet to try to keep that straight up and down so we're not breaking that plug, or, you know, if I was just yanking on this, you can actually break the body of the plug, and we definitely don't want to do that. Here it comes. Plug looks pretty worn down, but the gap doesn't look too far off. Definitely has had some miles on it. Last one, just feed that down there. Now they're all starting just fine. Don't feel anything wrong with the threads or anything like that, so that's good. Just probably kind of sticky from being in there for a long time. This car, I believe, has over 300,000 miles. This has the odometer that stops at 299,999. Yeah, once you feel that gasket crush, and then it kind of stops. Now, the torque spec on these spark plugs, it calls for 13 to 15 foot-pounds, which really isn't that much. That's why I was using that small ratchet and just kind of making this snug by hand. There it is. That's all it takes. I was pretty close by hand, but just wanted to double check with the torque wrench, and you saw that they all turned just a little bit more. Now, if you're wondering why I didn't use a torque wrench on these valve cover bolts and nuts, it's because my torque wrench really is from 10 to 100. Now, I do have an inch-pound torque wrench, which I could convert and use that, but the inch-pound torque wrench just isn't very reliable. So I just kind of snugged these by hand with a pretty small ratchet handle. I think we're good. Hopefully we didn't overdo any of those, and I think that's going to hold this in place and prevent any oil from leaking. Well, let me go grab the coils. I've just kind of cleaned the oil off of them. Hopefully they're still going to work okay. We'll put those all in and put this harness back on. We'll put the PCV valve in. I forgot to get a replacement hose. I'll see what I got here in the garage, and then we'll get this buttoned up and should be good to go. You can just drop these coil packs back in place. Just trying to keep these all in order. And they just pop right down over the spark plug. I'm going to clip these all in as I go. And then we'll try to get that back down underneath. Kind of weird how they had it set up, but you kind of have to lift the coil pack up in order to drop this harness back down. That just had the two nuts that held that down. And then we can put in the bolts that hold the coil packs down. Just remember, you're screwing these into aluminum, so if you grab your drill or impact and you just start going for it, you really do run the risk of stripping these. There we go. Now we can snug these all down. All right, then we can put in the new PCV valve. I'm just gonna thread this one in by hand to get it started. And we'll just get that snug. Don't get carried away with this. Same thing, you're going into aluminum. That looks good. Now remember, we need to get a new hose here. So let me go grab one. Forgot to get one at the parts store. I don't know if they would have this, but gotta go see what I have. All right, now because this hose here has two different sizes or different diameters, I'm having to do the wrong thing the right way here. I just spliced in at this end another little piece of this silicone hose that I happen to have, and it looks like it's gonna work just fine. Let me see if I can push that on. Just goes over here on the intake. That side should be pretty easy to push on. Yep. And then this side, you can see I didn't even have the right kind of splice. I had to use a T here, but I've got a rubber cap pushed on there, and that should be fine. You can see this will push over our new PCV valve, and then see if I can get that clamp over there. Yep, good as new. You can put this hose back on now. There we go. This clamp was pretty difficult to get on there. I think this hose is also really rock hard and ready to break. Now, just for kicks, I'm gonna throw a clamp on this little cap that I put on as well. I know it doesn't look right, but it should work for what we need. We just don't have time in order to run over to the dealership in hopes that they have this hose, or time to order it, because this needs to get back on the road today. All right, now we can put the top engine cover back on. Remember, this is our last little valve cover bolt. So we can kind of just peek underneath to line that up. I could have taken the bolt off and just put that stud on there, but I think this will work. Okay, that felt good. And remember, we were missing this one and this one. We only also had this one over here, so this one I'm gonna put in. Let's go start it up and see how it sounds. We'll just let it warm up here. And I don't know how well that's showing up, but we do have some smoke coming out the back. But that's to be expected, because as soon as I took out those spark plugs, the oil that was in those spark plug tubes just fell right down into the cylinders. Really not a whole lot I can do about that, except run it and let that clear out. So I don't think that's really gonna be an issue with the brand new plugs. That'll just burn off and we should be good. Now I'm gonna clear the stored code, the P0301, and then we'll go for a little test drive and make sure that we don't have any misfires or anything else going on, and make sure that that code doesn't come back. Okay, so we're just reconnecting to the vehicle real quick. Now the check engine light is still on the dash. So here we go, this is the same code, P0301, and we're gonna erase that. One moment, please. Let's see if the check engine light turns off. Yep, it just did. Erase was successful. And now it's just going to rescan real quick. Okay, so no active codes right now, but we definitely need to get some miles on this to make sure that that is all that this issue was, and make sure that that doesn't come back. Got a flashing check engine light, so let's go back home. Now it's bringing back that same cylinder one misfire. We definitely have an active misfire. Now it's saying cylinder 1. Let's go pull that plug real quick and see what's going on. Now it's possible that there is a problem with that spark plug, but it's more likely that we have an issue with that coil. It's possible that that one did get some damage or something went wrong with that coil pack number 1, maybe when trying to fire with all the oil in that spark plug tube. Now what I'll do now is swap the coil pack from cylinder 1 to cylinder 2, and we'll see if the misfire follows that cylinder. If the misfire switches cylinders, we'll know that we have an issue with that coil pack and we'll get a new one. I'm also going to pull the plug out of cylinder 1. Just want to see if that's already fouled again with oil. So let's pop the hood, take a look, and see if we can't figure this out. One thing I'm curious about is this coated in oil again? No, it's not. Okay, so that's good. That means that our new spark plug tube seals are doing their job. That's good. I don't think we had an issue with oil in the cylinder, at least not very much. Whatever was in there burned off and is pretty good. So I'm hoping that it's just an issue with the coil pack. I'm gonna put this spark plug right back in. There we go. We're gonna put cylinder 1's coil pack over here, cylinder 2 over here. Now I could run this without the cover, but because this bolt here is integrated in the valve cover gasket, kind of just want to make sure I don't blow that out. All right, that's it. It's buttoned back up. Let's go start it and we'll just idle here for a minute. We may not need to go on a full test drive if we get a misfire right away. If we get it on cylinder 2, then we know what to do. If it's still on cylinder 1, might have an issue with a new plug that's defective, or could be something else. Let's start it up. Okay, it still has a miss. There we go. We've got a check engine light coming on. It looks like it's flashing because we have an active misfire. Hey, look at that. P0302. So our misfire followed the cylinder. It went from 1 to 2. That is great. At least we know what to do now. So let's go get a new coil. We'll install that and then we should be able to button this one up and call it fixed. I might actually have one of these that I pulled off of an old Avalon. It might be the same. I'm gonna go check. It's not. It's a slightly different shape and design. I'm trying to save the owner some money here, but let me run to the parts store and then I'll be right back. All right, well, I just picked this one up from O'Reilly. This is their Master Pro brand. I'd rather have Toyota or Denso brand, but this is all we could find today. So let's throw this one back in and then we'll start it up and see how it runs. All right, now we can put this cover back on for the 3rd time, hopefully for the last time. We've got the new coil installed. Let's start it up and see how it sounds. Well, that sure sounds a lot better. We still have the check engine light. I'm really happy with that. Let's go ahead and get connected here. We can clear that check engine light and go for hopefully our last test drive and call this one done. So we're gonna erase that P0302. All right, check engine light went off and it says erase was successful. All right, I'm gonna go shut the hood and then we'll take this for a test drive. As long as we don't have any other codes and check engine light stays off, we should now really be able to wrap this up. Sounds nice and healthy. This thing runs great. All right, well, let's scan that one more time. Now that we went on a nice long test drive, check engine light did not come on and it ran really well. Let's just double check and make sure we don't have any active check engine lights. No powertrain DTCs or freeze frame data currently stored. You notice up here these flashing red lights and that we also have the yellow light on right here. That means that we're not quite ready for our inspection. These are the inspection and monitors. And so because we have 3 of them still flashing, this is not ready for testing. Now the owner's on his way over here to pick this up and this is not something that he needs to get get inspected or smogged. But if you do end up with a vehicle that does need to be inspected or does need to be smogged, what you do need to do is complete those drive cycles. And fortunately, this tool tells you how to do it. If we go into menu and we can go all the way down to drive cycle procedures and hit enter, let's go down to incomplete monitors, and it's saying that our oxygen sensor, catalyst, and evap monitors are incomplete. This will tell us what we need to do. Now, I'll get into that on another video, but for right now, just wanted to say, I hope you liked the video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you don't mind. That does help me out. And of course, I'll get a link in the description where you can pick up your own Innova 5610 scan tool, along with some of the other parts and tools used in the video as well. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck.